To AstroDrama, and this is an evening to learn the very basics and for beginning astrology and what the energies actually represent. We're going to start talking about the actual astrological chart and the ascendant, played by Marilyn, and the moon, played by Pam, and the sun, which will be played by Charlotte. All right, in ancient times, astrology was born within Babylonia, and this was the ancient astronomy, the ancient religion of the time. And what would happen was astronomers would look into the sky and they would watch the movement of the planets, and this is how they were able to predict events and how they were able to structure their lives according to the movement of the stars and the planets. At that time, it was thought that the universe, I should say, was geocentric, meaning that the Earth was in the middle and all of the planets orbited or rotated around the Earth. This was the common point of view until the mid-1500s, where the first scientist to dispute this point of view was called Copernicus. And in Copernicus' time, you were able to see the planets all the way out to the one up there, Jupiter, which is the largest planet. With the naked eye, you could see that far. And what Copernicus was seeing was he was seeing the phases of the planets, the cycles, as they moved around the sky. Much like we'd be able to see the phases of the moon today, where you have a new moon like we're having right now, where the sky is black, there's no moon visible at all, to where we have a crescent moon, to a quarter moon, to a full moon, and back to the black new moon. So he was able to see this happening for all of these planets in the sky. With the invention of the telescope in 1609, Galileo was able to prove that Copernicus was right, that the Earth was not the center of the universe, but in fact the sun was the center of our universe, the Milky Way, and that it is actually not a geocentric universe, but a Hellenistic universe, meaning the sun is the center. And with that point of view, was very controversial at the time because the society at that time was basically run by the Roman Catholic Church, and they wanted to believe at the time that there was a tremendous divinity and godhood happening, and that would put the Earth at the center. So both Copernicus and Galileo were persecuted and made to recant their point of view at the point of death, had they not done that. But over the years, of course, science found with the growing technology after the discovery of the telescope that was in fact true, and that the sun is the center, and all these planets orbit around the sun. Now, for astrology, the one that we'll be talking about today, the Western astrology, we still have the point of view, because this astrology harkens back to the time of ancient Babylonia, where the Earth is the center of the universe. So the chart we'll be talking about will reflect that point of view, in that the center of the chart will be the Earth or the person themselves, and around the chart will be all these planets, and there are 10 altogether. Now the ones we'll be talking about today are the moon and the sun, which are in fact luminaries, but in astrology we call them planets. And a point, a mathematical point, which is extremely important, called the ascendant. Now in the sky, what we see when we look up in the night sky, we see this ring. This is the Earth here, and around the Earth we see up in the sky these different constellations. And the ancient Babylonians and Greeks actually had names for them, and the names that they had are the names we know them by today, which are the astrological signs. And in these signs we see the different figures that make up these. This is the scales, which would be Libra. This is an actual scorpion with the stars, which would be Scorpio, and here's the centaur, which would be Sagittarius, and on and on. And around the Earth we have these different constellations that are constantly moving and having their cycles. this is a chart of somebody you might know, who is Marilyn
Monroe.
Monroe, right? That constellation that we just saw, this is a birth chart, and it is symbolic of the constellation chart we just saw. And here would be the Earth or the person themselves, and around here would be all those signs that made up the constellations. For instance, here we have the glyph or the symbol for Aries, and Virgo, and Libra, and Scorpio, Sagittarius, and around it goes. We have 12 signs altogether. Now in astrology, it's a multi-layered study where everything means something, and it's like learning a different language altogether. So just to share with you Marilyn's chart, I'm going to just talk about these three big points of the sun, the moon, and the ascendant. Now the ascendant is here for her chart, and that's the glyph or the symbol for Leo. And here is her sun, this circle with a dot in the middle, and underneath that is the symbol of Gemini. So she was a Gemini. And in the moon, we have here, which looks like a moon, which helps, we have the glyph for Aquarius, which is the two squiggly lines, one on top of the other.
Excuse me? Do you know her birth date?
She was born June 1st, 1929. And this is what it looks like. And then when you're doing a birth chart, you need to know the date, the place, and the actual moment that somebody was born. That's really important, and I'll get to that in a moment. So when an astrologer looks at a birth chart, they are reading her energy made up of all these planets. Tonight we're just going to talk about the ascendant, which is this horizontal line here, the sun, and the moon. And here with the Leo, you see Marilyn Monroe. Leo is a symbol that means vivacious, big hair, big personality, love to flirt, love to be larger than life, love to put it on and be the big movie star. And that's what we see here. Her moon is in Gemini. Again, loves to flirt, loves to communicate, loves to talk, loves to be bubbly and effervescent and lighthearted. And we know that was a part of her personality too. And the moon in Aquarius, which just so happens to be in the 7th house of relationships, she loved to socialize and she loved to have relationships, and we know from history that she had a lot of love affairs, and that was a part of her. What's interesting in Marilyn Monroe's chart, which we're not going to get too far into these kinds of concepts tonight, but just to note that the ascendant and the sun are not supportive of one another. That's a very stressful angle, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But what it shows in her chart is this big showy blonde, big hair, just bubbly movie star persona was not who she really was. Who she really was her sun and her moon. That these two aspects or angles are in harmony and support one another, and they show that she loved to talk, she had a tremendous curiosity about life, she was very flirty, and she was very social, but she was also very intellectual, and she had a very deep side. But these two things together were at odds with this, who she put out into the universe. So let's talk more about what all of that means, and we'll go here to the big three. The big three, the ascendant. It's an energy point on the horizon. So if we look down here at the rug, this is symbolic of the astrological chart that we just looked at for Marilyn Monroe. This line here, this white line that goes horizontally through the chart, the wheel, is the ascendant. And if you think about it this way, this line here represents dawn. And then you go up here, this would be noon. Over to this line, which is also called the descendant, which would be dusk. And down here to the very bottom is midnight, and then up here again to dawn. So if we call dawn 6 a.m. in the morning, this is the ascendant. This is the rising sign that you were born with. This is a very, very important point. So this is what the ascendant is an energy point on the horizon. And if you think of this as a gigantic clock, this would be 9 a.m. But we're going to think about it as 6 a.m., so that's a bit confusing because this is dawn. This line here is my ascendant, and it's 6 a.m. What's happening with these constellations out in the sky? They're always moving, and they're moving forward. Right here, it looks like Aries, the ram, is at 6 a.m., but give it another couple of hours, and there's Taurus, the bull. He's going to be here at 6 a.m. Another couple of hours, and you've got the twins, Gemini. They're going to come around there. So let's look back down here on our chart. Every 2 hours, this chart's going to move, so that whatever planet was here on the ascendant at 6 a.m., in 2 hours is going to move into another house. And this is how this is divided into 12 houses. So it goes into the 12th house at 8 a.m. 2 more hours go by. 10 a.m. it's in the 11th house. 2 more hours go by. At noon, 12 o'clock, it's in the 10th house. 2 more hours go by. It's at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and so on and so forth, all the way around. So all of those stars or planets are constantly moving. So whatever time you're born, and this is how a chart is constructed, by the exact moment you were born, it is a snapshot of this chart. Where were all of those stars the moment you were born? What was on your ascendant? What sign was passing through your ascendant? All of these are the same as signs. In my personal case, I had Taurus at the ascendant. And that was the moment I was born, I had a Taurus ascendant. So let's go back to the big three. Okay, so my Taurus was right here on the ascendant. Now my sun was in a particular sign someplace around here, and my sun is symbolic of my ego or my identity. My ascendant is the mask I put out into the world. We're going to talk more about that in a moment. And the moon was also someplace around here in a particular sign, and it had to do with my feelings. And this is why it's so important to know what exact moment you were born, if you can ever find that out, because the moon travels the fastest. It just zips around here like crazy. It changes a degree every 4 minutes. So it's really important that you know that. So let's go to ascendant, and we'll talk more about that later. Now, what is the ascendant? What symbolic meaning does it have? When we are born into a family, very often we are given a role to play. It has nothing to do with who you are as a human being. You have a role to play in that family. And it depends on the sign. So a person who has a Capricorn ascendant may have been given the role in their life to have been this hero that was going to go to university and have this huge job and just be someone the family could be so proud of. Or maybe it was a Pisces. Pisces is the lost soul. Pisces are into escapism and spiritualism and don't really conform to what we consider the concepts of tremendous success in the world, because they are very much about the other world. So you were given a role to play. Or maybe you were Gemini and you were made to be the family clown. So that's the ascendant, sort of a mask you're given as a small child in a family. You have a role to play, and if you don't conform to the role that is given, you're consequenced. And if you do conform, you're rewarded. And so we all live our little masks, who we're told to be in our families, until we get older. So this is what's happening with the ascendant. We are living a life that's not truly authentic, who we truly are, but it's something that we were told to be and brought up to be by our families. It's social conditioning. So let's move on to the sun. Okay, when we get a little bit older, usually when we become teenagers, what happens is we start to rebel against that. This is not who I am. This isn't what the fit is. I don't want to be this person anymore. I want to be who I really am. And between ages of 18 and 21, we have what's called an identity crisis. And during that time, we develop all these words that begin with self. Self-expression, confidence, esteem, worth, self-centeredness. And generally, teenagers are consequenced for that because this is rebellious phase and parents don't like it. but it's a very necessary phase so that we can become who we're truly made to be. It's our identity. And it's when you say, I'm the kind of person who likes to do this, that, and the next thing, and it shocks the family, but that's okay. That's who you truly are. The last point we'll talk about in a minute. Let's move on to moon. So when we're a tiny, tiny baby, all we care about is that we're fed, we're hugged, we're loved, we're kept warm, we're nurtured, we're cared for. This is our feelings, our emotions. If we feel nurtured and taken care of, that's all that matters to us. It's about comfort, safety, or the lack of it. If I don't have safety, I'm going to be very irritable and very nervous, very anxious. I'm going to grow up with tremendous number of phobias and psychoses and anxiety and all those awful things that take forever to recover from because my needs were not met as a small child. But if I was born into a very loving, caring, nurturing family, then I feel completely and totally taken care of. So it's all about my feelings. So as a small baby, it's all about being the moon. And then as I grow a little bit older, I'm given this role by my family to play, and then I develop my ascendant. This mask I put on to pretend to be socially adequate and acceptable because I want to please my parents, I want to please everybody. I'm too scared to stand out on my own and do my own thing. But when I become a teenager, I get rid of that mask and I could care less what you think about me. It's all about me and my ego and who I am. So those are the differences between the ascendant, the sun, and the moon. Now, where do those energies fall into? The signs. So we'll move on to the signs. Now, the signs in that constellation are these 12 signs that run across the bottom here. And each one of them has a very, very different and distinct energy field. So, I think, Susan, Leslie's going to give you a chart and a wheel. And actually, for Shira,
want me to give it to everybody
too. And what we want you to do is the Hershey Kiss that's silver will be a symbol for the moon, and the Hershey Kiss that's gold will be a symbol for the sun. And we're going to act out some of these energies, and they're described on your chart, what they are, so that if you are born with your ascendant in a certain sign, and your sun in a sign and your moon in a sign, how are you going to behave? What's going to go on within you in a variety of different situations? Okay, and this is where we're going to ask the zodiactors to come back and join us and to act out those very scenarios. And the scenarios. I'm just briefly going to go through one on my own before we get started to give you an example of what we're going to do. What if I'm born and my moon, my feeling part, what I care about, what gives me comfort, is born in Cancer. Cancer is very much about feelings and emotions and wanting to be nurtured and protected and that kind of thing. But my ascendant is in Capricorn, and Capricorn is very much about being the CEO and being in charge of everything and really well organized and being the boss and being responsible, being mature, being organized. And my sun is in Aquarius, which is extremely rebellious and just could care less about conformity and rules. It wants to do its own thing. And I go to a job interview. Well, my sun and moon are stress points to one another. And I'm not going to go into that deeply other than just tell you sometimes that happens. They don't get along. They don't agree on anything. So I go to a job interview, and my sun is Aquarius. It's rebellious. It's just so pumped up with itself. It feels this job's beneath it, and it could care less whether it got the job or not. Like, who cares? It's beneath me. I got better things to do. But my moon, my feeling part, is in Cancer, and my moon is just scared to death about the rent. How on earth am I going to pay for the rent? So they both show up at the job interview, and one is so scared and the other one's so haughty that they're just fighting amongst themselves. But now here is my ascendant, which is Capricorn. It's all about business and all about caring and being responsible and mature. So the person who is doing the job interview, he hires me based on my ascendant because I'm pretending that I'm going to be so responsible and mature. Meanwhile, I go home and then I have this job for 2 months, and then the guy that hires me wonders, well, what on earth did I hire her for? Because what's happening is her Aquarius sun, this job's beneath her, hardly ever shows up for the job. And the poor moon in Cancer is such a basket case, so worried about paying the rent and what have you, has had a complete meltdown. And so there's just one part of this person just barely hanging on that this person's hired. And I think this is a good example of the kind of situations that we all find ourselves in. We think a person is one way, and then we go through time with this person where we realize, oh my gosh, this person is nothing like I thought they were. They're completely different. And this is what's happening. These three parts to them, their ascendant, their sun, and their moon, are at odds. And certain parts of us show up for certain occasions, but we can't hold it together unless we grow, we mature, and we figure out a way to do it. And that's what's important to remember and realize that's happening over the course of a lifetime. Because these planets, there's 10 altogether. We're only going to be talking about 3. But what happens with all of these planets, they go through cycles of maturation throughout their life. And we encounter different things, and we learn how to deal with them. So what's happening for that ascendant is the ascendant is learning that, you know what, I don't have to always be the goody-goody. I don't have to please everybody. I don't always have to do that. What I need to do is just step back sometimes, and I need to let the sun, my true identity, take the lead, because that's who I truly am. But you always have to feel good about it, which is the moon. So the sun and the moon always have to have a partnership. Okay, so what we're going to do, Susan, I'm going to ask you to pick 3 large pieces of paper and 1 small one. The 3 large pieces of paper will give to the ascendant, the sun, and the moon. And the small one we will give will be the situation that you want to put them in. So this situation is going to be called putting together an outfit, just to go out to a party or whatever.
Okay.
And
Where are we going?
the ascendant will be the Taurus, and the sun will be Aquarius, and the moon will be in Gemini.
Okay.
What kind of party?
Ooh, we're going to a New Year's Eve party.
New Year's Eve party. Okay.
All right, let's go.
So I'm going to ask the zodiac actors to stand in front of their energy. So Gemini is the 3rd house, Aquarius is the 11th, and Taurus is the 2nd house. So come stand here.
Oh, I thought I was stupid, but no. Okay.
Right. Okay, so sun,
Yes.
it's New Year's Eve. What kind of outfit are you going to wear?
It's New Year's Eve. Woo! Well, I'm going to wear the most sparkly, the most razzmatazz, the most outrageous, draw attention to myself kind of outfit that I can. In fact, I think I might go as Cher because, you know, she's all about the show, right? So that's me. I want everybody to notice me. I want to be able to socialize. I want to be able to call the party mine, I think. So I want to celebrate the good times.
Be noticed.
I want to be noticed, exactly. Definitely.
And Moon, how do you feel about that?
Well,
You're a
I want
Gemini.
to communicate. I'm feeling I want to communicate. I'm feeling I want to play some games. I'm feeling I want to be in the moment with my friends. I want to just get to know how they feel together. How are we going to all interact? I want to know what's going on with everybody. I just need to know. And I want to tell everybody how I feel. I really feel like I want to know how they feel.
Yeah.
I feel I want to know.
and ascendant?
You feel you want to.
What do you want?
Well, I just want to be really slow in making my decisions and base my decisions on what my parents told me, right or wrong. They were right. Of course they were right. They were always right. And so, you know, I want to be dependable and you know, I won't drink because I will drive everybody home from the party. It's New Year's Eve and I'll do that for you, the sun and the moon. And as long as you're happy, I'm here to make you happy and that's what I'll do, whether I like it or not.
Okay, so in this scenario, it just so happens that the Gemini moon and the Aquarius sun are both air signs, and they are supportive of one another. And the stress point is with the ascendant that is not on the same wavelength. So really, Susan, what kind of party do you think this will be at the end? The sun and the moon are together, and the ascendant is out in the cold.
One's going to take off and the other two are going to stay together.
Party.
Yeah, and so the designated driver will be driving herself home. And the other two partiers
You're going to be
will
staying all night.
partying and staying all night. Exactly, that's how it works.
It's going to be a good time.
There will be drinking.
Okay, let's try another one.
Rise up.
All right,
Really the
so
best way to do it.
the moon now will be in Pisces,
Oh, thank you.
and the ascendant will be in Sagittarius,
Thank you.
and the sun will be in Capricorn, and
I'm over there. Sun.
this is going to be choosing a boyfriend.
Choosing a boyfriend. Okay, an elf.
Okay, so Moon, what kind of boyfriend would feel good to you?
I feel I want one of those young werewolves. Oh, yummy. They live in a fantasy world. We can live in our yummy world with, you know, all that passion and romance, and I can be swept away and
So
You
it's
know,
is it going to
carried
be
away.
a fantasy romance?
it's, well, you know what? I don't see many of like around very often, but now and then one or two guys have that look I like, you know,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's never talk to them. I
Yeah?
usually read a lot of magazines.
Do you fantasize about them?
Yes, I do.
Oh,
And I feel I want them. And I feel it would be very together.
It'll be a
them.
spiritual union.
Very spiritual.
All right,
Me
son.
and myself and that.
Excellent, son. What kind of boyfriend would you
she's
be
like
looking for?
She's like the cover of a Harlequin romance novel.
She
Like,
is.
where's Fabio already?
That.
That's that
All I
Pisces
have to
energy.
say is, where is Donnie Trump? Because I want somebody that is serious, chairman of the board. I want somebody organized, responsible. I want somebody highly ambitious that
somebody
makes
with
cash.
Hair whip like that.
Details,
His hair does
details.
not move.
Details. Hair, no hair. He's got to be career
He's
oriented.
ugly.
He has to be practical, which he is. He has to be a moneymaker. Did I say that?
Yeah.
Mature and an authoritarian.
And he would tell you, you're fired.
Yeah, but I don't have to work because my man will take care of me because I am the most important thing in his life.
He's ruining the earth, you know.
So that's what Capricorn wants in a boyfriend. Now the ascendant at Sagittarius. What are you concerned with, Sagittarius?
Well,
That's
son, give your head a shake. You're looking for Donald. He's with me.
She got towel.
And we're traveling.
What?
And we are parlez-vous français, and we are having a wonderful time. And he is educating me like I could never have dreamt. And look no further.
I'm feeling
He's with
left out
me.
here. He's the ugliest man on the planet.
So should I hate
That doesn't
you?
matter. That doesn't
Oh
matter.
my
He
God.
likes to
You?
travel.
What do I know in the morning?
He likes
I'll be
foreign languages.
Look
He's
over and
gregarious.
driving.
You know, he's my man.
Oh my goodness. He probably
Sorry,
stinks
son.
too. Yeah.
Sorry,
But
son.
why can't we combine? Can't we have the same?
No.
mind?
Okay.
I don't want this.
In this situation,
Sorry, I don't
again,
share.
the sun and the moon
So gross.
make a sextile angle to one another, which
Sextile?
means they are 60 degrees apart, which means they're harmonious. So they're
Oh, yes.
gonna support one another, and they're probably gonna drown out the ascendant. So Susan, what kind of boyfriend do you think this person's going to end up
We
with?
are in trouble.
Now we're in trouble now.
Why do I always lose?
We're sextile and harmonious.
I told you, I've got the
I know, I hate your
I
guy.
hate your guy.
Your guys
Oh, wait, you support one
That's
another.
okay.
I know, we're supposed to.
I have the Donald.
sex Donald
I don't
Trump.
need
Maybe
you guys.
Maybe Donnie
Okay.
has a good-looking
Okay.
bastard.
Susan,
son.
what do you
He
think
has
they're
hair
going to
and
come
he
up with
lets
as a
me run
boyfriend?
his fingers
What kind of
through his
qualities?
hair.
Susan?
Yes.
I think these two are going to take off, and she's going to be left by her own drama queen.
I am. Be left by my own.
We're sharing Donald.
isolation
All right,
with
we'll
my-
share.
Yes, I think
With
that
my
we're much more in
magazines.
line than we are.
But the energy of Pisces lives in a fantasy world, and which is the moon, and the sun, which is in Capricorn, wants the big money, wants all of that. So that she's going to fantasize until she manifests her CEO.
She's gonna be single for a long time.
Yeah.
She might be. She might be.
Possibly forever.
She'll have good fantasy.
That man don't exist.
Yeah, well, you know, you can't
Werewolf.
complain about that.
Sexy
Susan,
Donald
pick
Trump.
another
That's an
topic.
oxymoron.
I know.
Or just a moron. Next.
Sexy oxymoron.
I fail to see the attraction of that man. Seriously. Oh,
Donnie,
my
he's
goodness.
successful, man.
Success.
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 Okay, this time we're going to be choosing a pet.
Oh yay.
And the ascendant is in Cancer, which is warm and fuzzy and caring and nurturing.
That's you.
The sun is in Leo, which is big and flashy and wants all the attention. It has to have the biggest and best of everything.
bulldog!
Yeah. But the moon is in Virgo and is hypoallergenic to everything. Cares about her health, is a perfectionist and highly
runny
critical.
nose.
Fussy.
Okay,
Fussy has to be special food. You see?
Fussy.
You said something.
All right.
One more time, Marty, I interrupted.
Rewind.
So,
It's a
Leo,
orangutan.
the sun, what kind of pet are you going to choose?
Leo,
What? Me? You're going with
The
me
sun.
first?
Come on.
Why don't you go with somebody else first? How
Oh,
about
you were always
Let's check.
arguing you want to go first.
Arguing,
Go
arguing.
first.
I'm not ready yet.
Okay, I can
Why
go
can't I
then.
go first?
Okay,
You.
Moon,
Okay, but I'm
what kind of
stealing your
pet
ideas.
would feel good to you, Moon?
Moon, you know me, I feel I want a Chinese crested dog
what?
because a Chinese crested dog because they have no
Chinese
hair.
crested, what is that?
They just have a little mop like Donald Trump right at the top there. Just have a little crest of hair at the top.
They stink.
They have no fur, they just have skin, and they really, they're almost like having a little alien, you know, and you just sort of keep them alien. And they, you know, you can take care, you can train them to like poop in a little piece of grass right in your patio. They don't eat very much. They're very fussy like me about my food. I need only certain foods I'll eat. And you know what? They're pretty perfect looking because they're so tiny. They look like cats. And they, you know, they don't like other people but me. They're criticizing all the other people in my life. They wouldn't like, they bark at everybody except for me. But they're very nice dogs, and I want one. It'd be very good for me.
An ascendant,
Yes.
you're in Cancer.
Crested.
What
Yes.
kind of dog would you choose?
I don't want a dog.
What?
Do I have to have a dog?
Well, we're choosing a pet.
Yeah, but does it have to
I
be a
want a
dog?
orangutan. I always
Oh,
did.
a pet. Yeah, you don't have to choose a dog. Why would you choose an orangutan?
Because they're hairy, beastly, beautiful, loving, cuddly. And ever since I was a little girl, I made little cutout orangutans because I wanted one. And I want one now because they eat a lot. They love food, so do I. And they're furry.
They stink.
No, you stink.
No, do not.
A orangutan does not stink. They're most like human.
They're affectionate.
And
They'll rip your face
yes.
off.
And they protect you, don't they?
No. Do I have to
I will
remind
get
you
this
about the
little
news,
orangutan
please?
from a tiny, tiny little infant.
Have you watched
Yeah,
the news
right.
lately?
But those are bad orangutans.
Your
This is
orangutan?
a good
They eat a
orangutan.
ton of bananas a day.
That's okay, because so do I.
She's out of
So we would be very happy together, and it's furry and cuddly.
Oh,
And it's something I've always wanted since I was a
you're
young
so
child.
selfish.
No, I'm not.
You are.
You want a
My
hairy
memory
man.
serves me, I
Hairy
want
man.
an orangutan.
Oh, right,
Orangutan,
excellent.
not
Okay,
orangutan.
I want your orangutan.
I ain't getting my orangutan.
Son, what would you like?
Okay, I want a poodle
Why is that?
Oh,
because they're very smart. They're
Uh-huh.
very. I want a big poodle, not those small little
Yeah, you like
additions.
showy.
Ankle
midget.
biter ones. Yeah, the midget ones. I don't like the midget poodles. I want the nice, showy, big poodles. I want it all manicured and detailed, nails done, all that jazz. Big hair, lots of accoutrements. And yeah, because it's, very flirty like me. And
Diamond collar.
diamond collar, of course. Yes,
You're
yes.
such a glam. Yeah, glam
It's
doll.
glamorous.
Yes,
Exactly.
Very glamorous.
Not like your stinky orangutan.
I know.
And your
It's
hair
mine.
is
Okay, in this
'Cause that
in
stinks
this
too.
instance, the moon is in Earth and the ascendant is in what are you?
some
Cancer.
In water.
One
So
of the
these
apes.
two are more supportive of one another than the sun.
What?
Boo.
So just to recap, the ascendant wants an orangutan because they like to eat. She
'Cause
likes
her last
to
boyfriend
eat.
was a
They're
very
nurturing,
cuddly.
they're protective, and the
Reminds me of my last
It's
boyfriend.
a sexual thing.
And the moon is in Virgo,
Yes.
and it wants hyperallergenic.
Reminds you of your
That's
last
right.
And
boyfriend.
it's a work dog, and
It's-
she likes to work.
I
So
I want a
Susan,
hairy-
Take my
based
dog
on
to
that,
work.
what do you kind of pet do you think that this person would choose?
A poodle.
Hairy, haired-ass. Hairy, haired-ass. Big, small.
What kind of pet do you think comes to mind? With all of that criteria,
A rat.
protective because of the cancer, nurturing, likes to eat,
Poodle doodle poodle.
a poodle
A
doodle
poodle
poodle.
doodle.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
Virgo has a poodle doodle.
Hypoallergenic.
Yeah, hypoallergenic.
She's smart.
Orangutan.
And why do you think
We'll
that?
cross a poodle with the
It
orangutan.
has all the traits.
Excellent.
That's so
Okay.
Very smart.
And
Yeah.
so the big showy poodle with the nails done loses out on that one.
No, because it still has
It's a
half a
happy
percent.
Poor son.
I win.
Son,
Yeah.
take your raise.
Okay, last
Win
go
over
round. Actually, I can do this. This is the last go round.
What are we?
Moon is in Libra. So everybody, the ascendant is in Scorpio. So move
Oh, I've
your
never been
gaze
to
to
Scorpio
Scorpio, which is this
Oh, yes, I have.
I think it's next to me.
here.
Oh, I
Over
just
number
have
8.
And
Sorry.
sorry,
One of your favorite words.
the sun
Sex.
is
Sex?
in Aries.
Wow, it's all the way over on the
Does
other side.
Scorpio like sex?
Oh, just a little.
And what are we
Moon is in
what are we
Libra.
deciding on?
Libra.
Yeah, what's
is
the question?
Libra moon.
And
And
the question?
And the question is,
my problem is I have no moon.
What's the
Aries
question?
is the sun.
yellow one.
Yellow or
We don't have a
and
question
gold is in Aries.
We don't have a
To
question.
be what you want to be.
And this time it's
that
about
what it is?
choosing a career.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So now, Aries, the sun,
It's gonna go first.
is extremely competitive. It'll tough it out no matter what. If it wants it, it'll go for it. Its tagline is just do it. Very impulsive. Doesn't care about the competition. Wants to win at any cost.
Yes.
Is athletic, abrupt. Don't get in my way. I'm
Get the
gonna
hell
get
outta
this
here.
done. That's Aries
Okay,
energy.
I'm ready to
That's
go.
the sun. It's eagle. Hold on.
Oh.
Now the ascendant in this case
Eagle.
is very suspicious, very secretive, not sure about anybody, has to figure them out first, extremely controlling and powerful, and very intense, manipulative, will check you out, will get a PI to find out your background before they will commit to anything, and will always look for the holes in your story. That's the
With my
ascendant.
piercing eyes.
With piercing eyes. Now the moon is in Libra, and the Libra moon just wants harmoniousness. It wants to support, bring people together, look for similarities.
You look lovely today.
Thank you. And just wants to be peaceful and happy and social. That's all they care about. And this,
Just
for
live and
instance,
let
we
live.
are choosing a career. All right,
I'm
son.
ready to go.
What are you ready for? How do you?
What do you think? What do you
I
think?
don't-
What's fast paced? What's going up? What's going down? What's going? Where it's going? The stock market. Yes. I gotta play the stocks. Because it's
Because-
volatile, it's moving, it's unstable, it's fast. It's like I could buy something, then I sell it. I don't even know what it is. It's ADHD without your medication. That's me. Stockbroker.
Stock makes a lot of money, has a lot of power, just keeps moving.
Oh yeah.
It's
Exciting.
energetic, exciting.
Yes.
But the ascendant now. The ascendant now.
Well, I've got to be
Scorpio.
very, very careful. I've got to really check things out. I will do a thorough search. I will
Proctologist.
I will put on my rubber gloves and BB and search every orifice and direction that I need to, because I don't really trust anybody out there. And thank God for the internet, because and thank God for search teams and CSI and all of that, because I will search
Google.
anybody. I will Google.
You'll Google.
I will
it.
Google.
You'll Google.
Yes.
With those
If need
gloves
will,
on.
I will Google
With those
my
googly eyes.
Yes. Oh dear. Because people just aren't worth trusting.
No.
You know, you just can't
You're a
trust out
pro.
there. You just can't.
That's the Scorpio energy. Now, but the moon is
Okay,
in
here it comes
Libra.
now.
Harmonious.
Can you hear the
Bring it
violins?
together.
I love
Don't
you.
touch me.
I love
I
you.
don't trust you. Don't touch me. I don't trust
I
you.
just love you.
Oh no, you're just saying that. I've investigated whether you can love or not.
I'm not going to tell
Just
anybody.
because you say you
Just
can.
because you killed your last employer.
That's okay. He was not
I'm not
worth
going to tell
living.
anybody.
He just
And you
wasn't.
let her. You
It
let
was
her
all
Could
kill
not be
him.
trusted.
About
He
the
could not be
I know.
trusted.
I won't tell anybody
I-
because I love you.
No, no,
Like,
no.
you are-
What are you?
What
You,
Talk
what
is
kind of
cheap.
career
Talk
do you
is
want?
cheap.
Well, I really want, what I want to do is I want to be around people and I want to support them. I want to let them be what they can
Oh,
be. I want to be, I'm going to lift them up.
Jim Jones!
Lift them
Oh,
up.
just so they can
Yes.
fall on their
I
head.
want to be one of those, Jesus people who want to lift others up. I will be a minister. Just like Jim Jones or whatever his
and
name
they
is.
were trustworthy.
Not the
all right.
Kool-Aid guy, the
They
other
took
guy.
your money and they put air conditioning in their doghouses.
Well, that's why you're with me, because you're making sure nobody will hurt
I
me.
cannot compete
And
with
you,
You're just so
got the
you are so loving and you are so full of yourself.
I make money for
I don't trust either of you.
This is a good relationship.
No, stay away. I haven't investigated you thoroughly.
We'll be a minister.
Yeah,
and
you
will-
know what they're
Yeah.
like.
Okay, in this instance, it is that the sun is in fire and
I'm on fire.
Libra moon is in air, so these two are supportive of one another,
Well,
and they're at
I
stress
wanna be
points.
water.
Scorpio, which is
We got the
water.
power.
I will put you both down.
I know.
Down until
But
you can
two-
trust better.
2 against 3.
Investigate.
2 against 3.
Super
So,
water.
Susan, what kind
No,
of
I'm throwing
career
water on you
do
both.
you think that this person would choose based on the moon and the sun
I know
strength
exactly what you
together?
would choose.
I would say these two first, but also could bounce back to that one.
Yeah, for support.
But what kind of career is harmonious, loving, caring?
Check everything else.
Is it competitive,
Think
athletic,
check.
wants to be first?
You got an airhead and a big head. Like, where are they
And
going?
athletic, I guess.
Where are they
We
going to
could
go?
actually have like a
I don't
sport
know.
business.
I could lead
know.
you through investigation. Tammy Baker.
Consultant.
A consultant.
Oh,
Two and that
please.
way.
Cash.
You're not throw water.
Okay.
And we could
Thank you,
launch her.
Zodiactors.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're finished.
You're finished. Can we go on to our
Yes,
questions
you
now?
may.
That was good.
You may
All right.
exit. Thank you
We may
very
exit.
much.
Thank you, that was fun. Oh, don't forget your son.
No. Okay.
Come on, ladies, follow me. I've investigated this trail. It's a good one. Forward.
Oh, be careful.
Okay.
Don't trip. I have
My
to-
question
Does
is,
anyone have questions?
I do
Yes,
have a
Leslie.
Okay.
on the last one, when
Yes.
the two were harmonious and there was a
Yes.
Scorpio, I'm just curious if the Scorpio would always question whether they made the right decision in the end?
Well, there would be a little niggly voice in the back
Yeah.
of the mind, but the strength of that sun and moon together would drown it out. Now, had the ascendant, which was a Scorpio, being in a supportive relationship with the moon, which just wanted harmonious things, that also would be pretty conflictual because you can't be suspicious and be peace-loving at the same time. So that would have been a hard personality to be at the best of times. But it would have always had a little bit of suspicion at the back of their mind. So I think the lesson here, what we tried to demonstrate, was that in every single human being, we have these different voices that are talking to ourselves, and we're trying to follow one thing or the other, and it is based upon the energies that exist in our chart, just like the Maryland chart that we saw earlier. And it all has to do with, can we go to signs for a moment? All of these energies are at play in our chart, and if we go back to the chart, so we go to Pisces, we go to that.
I'm back to constellations. Oh, sorry.
If you'd like to come up to the next, Susan, AstroDrama. In that AstroDrama, we will be exploring all these extra planets that appear on the chart of Marilyn Monroe, for instance. We all have these 10 energies, and tonight we only looked at the big three, which was this mathematical point, the ascendant, which is on the horizon, the sun, and the moon. They are always truly the most influential, but they are influenced a great deal by all these other planets that are also around the chart. The chart again has 12 signs. There's only 10 planets, so very often we'll have these empty houses. That does not mean that there's nothing happening in these houses, and as we'll explain next time, these houses are being governed by the sign, which is also called the rulership on the cusp. When we have these lines, it's called the cusp. But that's a topic for another evening with lots more energy to be explored. Yes?
I understand that the zodiac symbols are symbolic of certain characteristics,
Yes.
but how are these characteristics gathered? Like, how came up with them, or how did they come up with these energies of characteristics?
That's a really good question, and I think it harkens back to the ancient astronomers, the Babylonians and the Greeks, that originally put this method together. I think what happened was they noticed when, if we can go to constellations for a moment. When in ancient times, when they were observing from Earth these constellations of these signs with all these various planets and stars going around, they noticed that at certain times when one star was going through a certain phase or cycle or was pronounced, different energies were appearing. And that they began to link the energy from the sky to the people themselves, what was happening. And I think also, as we can see with the phases of the moon, because that's very clear to us what's happening, each one of those planets also has phases, and at different times in a person's life and in development, different energies surface that are symbolic of different behaviors and stages in life. So I think it was just a process of observation over time that made the connections between the symbols and the energies.
Thank you.